Hello sa inyong lahat. Ah, Sorry hindi ako nakapag-LS ng gaya ng mga sabi ko na nagkaroon lang talaga ng maraming kaganapan dito sa buhay ni Daisy. Pero, at yun nga, kinailangan kong i-edit yung huli kong LS so ulitin ko yun at some point pag siguro sa hapon pag gising na yung boses ko. Kasi maaga pa dito, mga tulog pa lahat so sana matapos kong basahin yung isang chapter nito. I-share ko ito. Regalo to sa akin bali ng katrabaho ko dati. Being happy. At nagbabaka sakali ako na makatulong din ito sa inyo o ma-inspire kayo sa laman nito. So sabay-sabay nating basahin. Kung hindi masyadong malinaw dyan, pwedeng pakinggan nyo na lang ako. Subukan kong basahin para sa inyo. So Being Happy, international bestseller siya. It's a handbook to greater confidence and security. And it's written by, pakita ko sa inyo. It's written and illustrated by Andrew Matthews. So yan. It's mapakaganda. Ito nga ito ang message sa akin ng kaibigan ko. Sabi niya, I remember when I was reading this book, I was laughing and smiling a lot. It helped me also to improve my self-confidence and understand people more. I hope it will give you the same. Have a great time. Love lots. So, shout out sa kaibigan ko si Monica at siyang nagregalo sa akin ito. So, ang babasahin ko lang ay yung topic na patterns. Kasi masyado mahaba pala pag buong chapter. So, patterns. Tingnan niyo yung picture. Cute. In a nutshell. Lumabas siya sa nut. Okay. Alright. Sabay po nating basahin o kung as I said earlier kung malabo, pwede nyo na lang pakinggan ang aking pagbabasa. Patterns. Let's take a look at this mind of yours. When you walk across the road, do you have to concentrate on every step? When you chew gum, do you have to think about it? When you eat a pizza, do you have to work at digesting it? Now, if I can just fix this anchovy, I can relax and go to sleep. When you go to sleep, do you need to concentrate to keep breathing? You don't do any of these things with your conscious mind, do you? You do them with your subconscious. We might say that the mind is like an iceberg. There is the part we see, the conscious, and the much larger part we don't see, the subconscious. Our subconscious mind is responsible for a large slice of the results that we get in our life. When we find history repeating itself in our lives, it is that part of our mind that is responsible. Many of us have recurring patterns. The same old experience or behavior keeps on cropping up. Do you know somebody who is always late? I used to play tennis with a fellow who was always late. He would play tennis before work at the Hilton. I would say, David, we are playing tennis tomorrow at 7 a.m. He would say, I will be there. Have you got the time? Have you got that time? 7 a.m. I will be there. Sure enough, at 7:15 next morning, David would arrive. He had all the excuses. My son had borrowed my racket and put it under his bed. Next week, the same thing would happen. At 7:16, David would arrive. The reason? I could only find one tennis shoe. The following week, he arrived at 7:15 sharp. The goldfish was sick, and the baby was crying. And so on, through the flat batteries, power failures, lost car keys, and underwear that was left wet in the washing machine. Finally, I said, David, let's make a deal. For every minute that you are late from now on, it will cost you $1. He hurt his shoulder the next day, and we have not played tennis since. He thought that the world was doing it to him. He was not trying to be late consciously, but on his subconscious, he had a program that said, "You are always running behind." And that program was running his life. If David had accidentally got up early and found himself on target to arrive on time, his inner programs would have helped him find a tree to hit or a strange road on which to get lost. He would have then taken a deep breath and said, "That's more like it. I am back behind the eight ball." Oh, meron tayong may pumasyal. Si Sister Daragan. Daragan Magayan, hello! Hello! Nagbabasa po ako. Nag-share po ako. Basahin ko itong tungkol sa patterns. Share lang. Share. Trying to read. And also, ito na po ang picture ng next page. Pakita ko sa inyo. So, yan. Yan. Kasi ang aking setup ay mababa masyado. Kaya hindi nyo makita yung buong libro. So, hayaan nyo nang ako na lang ang mag-adjust ha. Pasensya nyo na. Okay, basahin natin kung ano nakalagay sa ilalim ng picture. And then I caught the flu. The house burnt down. Our car was stolen. George had to have an operation. The cat got the flu. Puro dahilan, ano? Okay, tuloy natin. Drama patterns. You probably know people who have drama patterns. Their lives are long dramas. You meet them in the street and make the fatal mistake of asking, "How are you?" You find out that the cat had just died, the car has been repossessed, dad accidentally burnt the house down, a meteorite wiped out their garage, and they have just been diagnosed as having a very, very severe case of something that you have never heard of. Whenever their life threatens to go smoothly, a little subconscious voice says, "Hey, this can't be right." And very soon another drama emerges. They lose their job, they have another operation, they get arrested, and everything returns to normal. We are going to look at what we can do about these patterns later. But for the moment, let us identify some more. Another picture. Look. Another picture. Ayan. Oh, meron tayong bagong dalaw. May bumisita si Maria Fe. Maria Fe, hello. Ayan, binigyan kita ng jacket. Ayan. Salamat sa pagdalaw. Ayan, nagbabasa po ako ng librong pinamagatang Being Happy. Pa. Oh, salamat Sis Daragang. Oo, salamat. Salamat, congrats din sa'yo. Cheers sa ating dalawa. Cheers. Okay, tuloy natin ang pagbabasa. Saan na tayo? Usog-usog ko lang po. Okay, baba ng konti. Ayan. Accident patterns. Some people have a talent for having accidents. They spend their lives falling off ladders, off bicycles, out of trees, getting electrocuted, and having car accidents. I know an insurance agent in her early 20s who has owned 5 cars since her 16th birthday. She told me, "Every time I bought a new car, someone smashed it into the back of me. After 5 of those accidents, I quit buying new cars for my own survival." Sickness patterns. Do you know anybody with a sickness pattern? Some people get colds twice a year. Some people get sick every time a big opportunity comes along. Some people get sick every Monday morning. Mess patterns. Some people are inclined towards mess. They don't they don't consciously try and do it, but their pattern is so strong. Their desk is a mess, their files are a mess, their hair is a mess. You can come along and straighten everything out for them, and within 20 minutes, their office, their bedroom, their car, their lunchbox, All look like they have been through a hurricane. Broke patterns. Have you met someone who is always broke? It is not what we make, but what we do with what we make. People with a broke pattern work on an automatic program. Whenever they get any spare cash, they go looking for someone to get rid of it. They go looking for somewhere to get rid of it. As sure as you get an itch and scratch it, they'll get some money and spend it. For those of you who are in sales, take heart. Mostly they never realize what is happening. They figure it is the economy or the government or their salary that has got them into trouble. But you could double their salaries and they would still be broke. In fact, the reason why most people who win lotteries lose the lot is that their inner pattern is saying, all this money doesn't feel right. It doesn't fit. You'd better do something about this. Indispensable patterns. If you have indispensable pattern, or if you have the indispensable pattern, you absolutely know that within 3 minutes of your going on holidays, the office will be hit by lightning and the sales staff will all come down with the flu. If you have a pattern like this, our belief system and our attitude will help to create the perpetrate the situation. Whenever we leave, all hell breaks loose. Job change patterns. Usog natin. Yan. Job change patterns. Oops, baba ng konti. Ayan. Ayan. Sensya na guys ha. Ayan. Aba. May pahabol si Daragang Magayon. Mamaya ko nasagutin kasi harang pa siya. O sige, basa muna tayo. Gusto ko straight ay para maganda sa inyo din, di ba? Job change patterns. A fellow who was thinking of changing his job came to see me recently. He said, my company is pulling me down. Our products are inferior, and I can't pay the rent. I said, how long have you been in this job? He said, 2 years. I said, what about the job you had before that? He said, that one I had for about 2 years. And the one before that? 2 years. And before that? About 24 months. I said, where is the problem? With you or your company? He said, with me. I said, if you are the problem, why change companies? In the course of our conversation, I told him about a friend who had 5 jobs in the past 11 months. And I said, as a matter of fact, I would bet everything I own that in a year's time, she won't be in the same employment. That afternoon, she rang me to tell me that she had quit her job. My life savings would not have been at risk. Ayan. Sis Daragang, pag tapos ka na sa harang, tsaka kita kausapin, ha? Nasa harang ka pa. Ayan, hindi, mamaya na kita sagutin. Okay, lipat na tayo sa next page. Lapit na tayo matapos. Ayokong habaan to. Ano lang, per topic lang, para hindi masyadong mabigat. Now, this lady tells me that she is deliriously happy. So it is not for us to question whether her pattern is good or bad. Simply, it is good to recognize that we operate on programs. We may have car and house and relationship patterns operating along similar lines. There is another pattern. It is the people are nasty, life is horrible. Why is the world doing this to me? I wish I were dead pattern. Again, we tend to create our own circumstances. This one is really no fun. The I only ever have just enough to get by pattern. In this one, our conscious and our subconscious thinking lock us into a situation where life is a struggle but we always get by. Do you relate to any of these? The I always miss out pattern? It manifests in our being born, starting school, buying businesses, going on vacation, either too early or too late, always being in the right place at the wrong time. Also, we have we may have the right talents but the wrong teachers, or the right teachers but the wrong talent, or no teachers and no talent. The people always the people always rip me off pattern. Need we say more? Ayan. Nakaka-relate ba tayo? Nakaka-relate ako. Ayan, mukhang tapos na yata sa harang si Sister Daragang. Sister, kailan ka nag-morning? Nauna ako ng bahagya sa'yo, sis. Nauna lang ako ng konti. Pero, ano, sulong atras naman si Lolo sa ating sweldo. Matagal yata bago maipon yung panimula natin. Kaya di ko alam kailan tayo sa sweldo. Mabigat, mabigat. Mahigpit siya, di ba? Pero yun nga, unti-untiin na lang natin hanggang sa tiyaga-tiyagain lang hanggang sa, yun nga, finally makatikim naman ng konting, anong tawag dito? Ano tawag dyan? Yung hindi sweldo sasabihin ko eh. Yung parang reward. Reward. Oh, reward ng kaunti. Oo, sisip. Sa pa-join at super chat tayo. Ay, kaya nga. Oo nga. Nako. Yun na nga. Kaya nga sabi ko, unti-unting lalakasan ko na nga loob ko. At ito nga, nagsa-start na nga ako magsalita na nga sa LS. Dati pa silent ako. Ngayon, nagkwento-kwento na rin ako ng konti. Pag may pumasok, chika-chika. Tapos, sooner or later, yun na, papakita na rin kami ng mga muka. Dahan-dahan. Unti-unti hanggang sa, yun na nga. Kasi parang yun ang ano eh. Yun ang kailangan eh. Kailangan ng interaction kasama muka. Pag yung boses, mahina pa rin. Maliban na lang pagkakilala na. Ay, nako. Anyway, tuloy natin ang pagbabasa. Malapit na matapos. We've started by looking at some negative patterns. There are, however, some very positive patterns which you will relate to. The I'm always healthy pattern. Our state of health is determined by the programs we have between our ears, which say who we are and what happens to us. Do you know somebody who's always in the right place at the right time? They go into business just as the boom starts. They sell their house just before the remand center is built next door. They go on holidays and bump into some millionaire who flies them around Europe. And you think how they do it? If I had just a quarter of their luck, being in the right place at the right time is a pattern. What about the whatever I do, I always end up making money pattern? Some people have it. Or the whatever I buy, I always get a good deal pattern. And the reverse of that is the I always get the lemon pattern. The patterns include the I trust people and they always treat me well program, and the whatever I do is always fun and easy pattern. Well, yes, usog natin. Ayan. Oops. Taas. We'll assume you want to hang on to the good patterns. What about the patterns you don't want? Thus, we ask ourselves, these rotten patterns I have, when will they change? When will they stop? The answer is, life changes when we change. Siya nga. Nasa atin ang pagbabago. Bago ko ituloy, may sinabi si Sister Daragang, maganda content mo sisi yung mga tutorial, marami mag-views niyan. Salamat. Salamat. Change is always challenged. It is not always easy to change our patterns, but it's very possible. Wherever you are, you can get to where you want to be. And we deal with how to do this throughout this book. Haha, kailangan nyo pala akong subaybayan para para malaman nyo yung susunod na kabanata. Unless may kopya na kayo, so okay lang din. Recognize one thing right here. Whenever we decide to change, we meet resistance. We're always challenged to see if we are serious. Let us assume that you decide to go on a diet. This is the big week in which you start shaving off your spare tire. This very week, your mailbox is stuffed with dinner invitations, cocktail party invitations, anniversaries. All change will be challenged, particularly in the beginning. Let us say you make the decision that for the first time in your life, you will open a savings account and begin to amass your personal fortune. Let me show the picture. Ito po. Kita niyo bago ko i-change. Ay, yeah, oops. Sobra na naman. Ayan. Baba ng konti, baba ng konti. Ayan. May cake. May cake. Tinutokso siya. Bago pa lang siya magsisimulang magjeta, ay may cake kaagad, may tukso. Ano ba yan? Okay. Ito na. Patapos na tayo, malapit na. Okay, nasa na tayo? Balikan natin para makuha natin ang ibig sabihin. Yung fortune niya. You cancel dinner at the Hyatt, which is part of your diet plan anyway. And you have your $63 earn marked for the bank. Isn't that just the day that your car insurance falls due, your refrigerator explodes, and your brother-in-law needs the $100 that you borrowed from him last Christmas? Imagine you are used to dressing like a bit of a slob. Every time you put your best trousers on, you get them hopelessly dirty. You can get sump oil all down one leg just by walking from your bedroom to the bathroom. Only with your best trousers. Now, the tendency is to think, well, that is the way I am. I can't change. The truth is that you can change, but the old patterns will try and persist. So, how do we change? Good question. First, recognize that all change will be met with resistance. In a word, be prepared. Ayan, be prepared. Moving on. Moving on. Okay, dito na tayo. Oops. Ay, nako. Lagi na lang lumalampas ang aking... Ayun, konti pa. Ayun, medyo tagilid. Ayan. Pwede na. The formation of patterns. We begin to form behavioral patterns right from birth. Thus, they're persistent and tenacious. For example, let's look at eating patterns. When we were babies, we cried for many different reasons. We were thirsty, hot, cold, lonely, frustrated, wanting to cuddle, exercising our lungs, wet, wanting a toy, wanting attention, and so on. When we did cry, on many, many occasions, we were fed. Thus, the association was formed that the solution to any of the above was to put something in our mouths. So, if you smoke, drink, or overeat, you don't need to look very hard to see where some of your programming comes from. When you're frustrated, lonely, or depressed, you know why one of the great lights in your life is one in the refrigerator. The solution of the bottle and the cigarette stems, in part, from similar conditioning. Familiar conditioning. Bakit parang mali spelling ito nga? Mali nga. Tingnan mo may I. Misspelled. For similar reasons, or unless yun talaga ang gusto niya. Baka may term siya. Pwede ko i-google mamaya just to double check. Actually, double check na natin. Kasi, habang interested pa tayo. Baka nga meron. We are learning after all. Similar. Baka nga mali lang bigkas ko, no? Ayun. Meron nga yata. Ay, hindi. Para kasing ako yung naninibago dito sa spelling. Teka, conditioning. Baka kasi term talaga, di ba? Similarities. Parang wala, guys. Wala. According to Google, similarities and differences between, wala. I don't think so, guys. Pwede nyo akong i-challenge, pwede nyo sabihin sa comments, okay? Kung may makita kayo. Pero I think nagkamali. Alright, moving on. For similar reasons, many of our other current characteristics result from early childhood experiences. In early years, we are open minded and empty headed. We absorb information like a sponge. Since our first relationship, since our first relationships are with our parents, their influence on our later lives and our later relationships is huge, partly consciously and mainly subconsciously. We create patterns in our lives which reflect the experience we had with our parents. For example, we establish relationships with people who resemble our parents. For example, lipat ko lang. Medyo nahuhuli sa monitor. Ayan. For example, we may find ourselves working for bosses or establishing friendships with people who resemble our mother or father. We establish relationships with other people that mirror our parents' relationships with others. If our parents were loving and gentle, so will we tend to be. If they spent time abusing people, we pick that up initially. We attract partners who resemble our mother or father. This we may do, not once or twice, but repeatedly. This can be because we form a subconscious picture from a young age that says, for example, real men are tall and dark and silent, like my dad. Or a woman should be short and well mannered, like my mother. Totally unaware of this on the conscious level, we may then go looking for the partner to fit the picture. Also, quality of our relationships with our parents creates its pattern. If, as children, we experience guilt or disapproval, then we will continue to attract and associate with people who treat us as bad people, who treat us as bad people. Similarly, if we experience love and approval as children, then as adults, we will gravitate toward people who treat us with respect. In short, we attract what we expect, and the world treats us as we believe we deserve to. Bago ko ipakita ang picture, meron tayong kapamilyang malaw. Hello, Part 13 TV. Marami pong salamat. And then, ito ang picture. So, anong ating i-interpret ito? Baba-baba ng konti. Baba-baba ng konti. Ayan. So, no way will I ever turn out like my father, but looking at the picture, naging katulad niya ang tatay niya. Na? Yan, tingnan niyo maigi. Parang spot the difference mahihirapan tayo makaano ng difference. Okay, moving on. I think last page na ito. Last page na, guys. Tamang-tama kasi pagising ng mga tao dito. Tapos mag-i-alis na ako ng tahimik. So, ano yung last bit? Kasi para makuha natin yung ibig sabihin. Kasi putol eh. Okay. In short, we attract what we expect and the world treats us as we believe we deserve to be treated. We are only skimming the surface here. However, realizing that the problem recognized is a problem half solved, it is valuable to be aware of your patterns and have some idea of how they came about. All right, in a nutshell, we are never stuck with patterns. Old negative patterns may be tenacious, but they are not invincible. Always think positively about yourself and your condition. Teka guys i-research natin anong ibig sabihin nitong word na ito. Kasi ako ay, hindi ko siya alam. Naririnig ko, pero hindi ko siya encounter palagi.
Tenacious.
Okay? So, ang ibig sabihin ng tenacious, tending to keep a firm hold of something, clinging or adhering closely. Tending to keep, okay. We are never stuck with patterns. All negative patterns may be tenacious. Tending to keep a firm hold of something, clinging. So, ibig sabihin yung mga negative patterns, nakikling pa natin siya. If we keep, hindi natin mabitaw-bitawan. I see. It's not easily dispelled. Ah, nakikling daw natin. Not readily, okay. Okay, yun pala ibig sabihin niya. I see. So yun, tenacious. Tama pala, bigkas ko rin. Medyo nagduda ako ng kaunti dun eh. Alright. So tama, mahirap nga. Mahirap bitawan yung mga negative patterns natin, di ba? Mahirap. Andyan palagi. Always think, so ituloy natin ha. Always think positively about yourself and your condition. Mental discipline in this area may not be easy, but the rewards are great. Oh, tama. The rewards are great. Always speak well of yourself and consistently visualize your life working as you want it. You will be creating new happiness patterns. Listen to the motivational cassettes and devour books on success. Use affirmations, subliminal tape programs, and spend time with people from whom you can learn. You can rewrite your patterns to become what you choose. In addition, use the nutshells in this book to systematically shed the things from your life that bog you down and consolidate the patterns that can push you ahead. Ayan. So, in a nutshell, ito ang ating goal. Ito ang goal natin. O, sige. Sige, i-stop ko muna ito at gumising na ang mga family friends natin dito. Gumising na si Baby M. So, itutuloy na lang natin ito sa susunod mga kaibigan, mga kapamilya. Bago ako magpaalam, gusto ko mag-shoutout ulit kay Daragang Magayon, kay Maria Fe, at sa huling humabol, si Part 13 TV. Maraming salamat sa pagdalaw. At pag naaga-aga ng gising at tulog pa sila, itutuloy ko ang susunod. So, ang susunod ay self-image. Maganda rin to, self-image.
And that's what we're gonna do for today, because if we read the whole book for today, there will, because there's a lot of chapters in this book.
Makapal siya. Pero maganda to, i-share ko sa inyo to.
And that is it.
Sige. Bye-bye guys ha. At muli, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Stay tuned. Marami pa kaming gagawin ngayong Sabado. Malamang mga LSA, mga silent nga lang. Pero welcome na welcome kayong dumalaw. Mag-type lang kayo sa chat box at ako naman ay nagre-reply ng hanggat kaya. Hanggat kaya ng aking kakayahan. Salamat muli, Daragang Magayon. Kita-kits muli. Bye-bye. God bless. Ingat palagi.